Pels drop another one. Whew. What's that, 8 of 9 now? But it wasn't just the game last night against the Nets. My goodness. Learned today, Jose Alvarado, hamstring injury. He's going to be out for 6 weeks. That is now 6 key contributors for New Orleans that are unavailable due to injury. Scott Kushner, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Polk and Kush Podcast. Excuse me. Sorry, Scott. Had a frog in my throat. How are you, man?
I'm great, Matt. How are you?
Doing way better than Willie Green, I would assume, because
yeah,
he's probably coaching for his job and doesn't have any players to do it. Okay, so do you want to just start with the news today with Jose Alvarado?
We need hamstrings, delivery of hamstrings. Does FEMA provide hamstrings to New Orleans?
I would offer my hamstrings, although my 42-year-old hamstrings probably aren't going to do a whole lot for them, although I do a lot of hot yoga, so I do keep my hamstrings pretty limber.
I don't know what the heck's going on over here, man. It's crazy. The Saints had how many hamstring injuries, and you had the Zion news yesterday that he's out 4 to 6 weeks, and then the Alvarado news today, and they revamped their whole medical side, or not medical, but training side in the off season. That was supposed to be a big point of contention and this big emphasis, and it hadn't worked. Whatever it is, they are perpetually, with a couple of exceptions, they're perpetually the most injured team in the NBA for like a decade. It makes no sense unless there's something systemic going on. And there's no reason to think it's systemic because they keep changing people who are doing it. So it is, it's very bizarre, and it's really unfortunate. And look, even they had like this extremely soft schedule so far, and they're losing every game. So these are games that they should win even with these guys out. And now they're running into this gauntlet where even if they were healthy, they'd probably lose these games, and they're pretty much doomed without them.
It's crazy. Last night against the Nets, I get it was on the road, but they were leading the whole second half. I mean,
it was home. They were.
Unbelievable.
It was me and 50 other people at the Smoothie King Center.
I'm sorry, at Smoothie King, they're on their way. They're on their way to OKC right now today. But
it's bad, man.
Hey, can you dig a little deeper on just the issues with the soft tissue injuries, because it's the Saints and the Pels. And it's not just hamstrings; it's all these soft tissue issues. Like, is there something? And I would assume, you tell me if I'm wrong. Are they sharing training staffs? Is there still that sort of concerted effort there? Like, is there something deeper there with how they're doing this?
Not really. Like, there's that crossover stuff that was a big issue really in the Anthony Davis era, where they hired a Saints trainer to be the Pelicans trainer. It really didn't make any sense, and they've kind of gotten rid of all that. And there's a lot of problems about this ownership group owning both teams, but this is no longer really one of them. David Griffin went out and kind of revamped the whole side to be a basketball centric and really understanding all the stuff. And it's not as if they haven't tried to fix this, and I don't know if it's related to the Saints, but certainly there's something going on that it's mostly soft tissue, but it's not all soft tissue. I mean, DeJounte Murray breaks his hand in the first game of the season. It's just bad luck, So, I mean, it's not like Jose Alvarado isn't a tough guy. Like, people, I think, were very skeptical when they see Zion gets hurt, especially with the way he was in and out of the lineup. But I don't think anybody's looking at Jose Alvarado and thinking that he's like coasting or not in shape or anything of that nature. So it's a very odd situation. I really don't know what they can do about it except for kind of just pray at this point.
Jose had seen his minutes go way up here, especially amid all the injuries. Had a couple of 20-point games last week. What are they going to miss here in the short term over these next 6 weeks without Jose?
Yeah, they're going to miss that spark that he provides. No, number one, until they get Murray back, which I think is still a week or two away, at least. And until they get him, until they get him back, they're really in a lot of trouble as far as ball handling. They don't have a lot of guys who can do that. They put so much pressure on Brandon Ingram, and he's going to now have to do even more because you don't have Zion, who's a natural kind of point guard who shifted into that role, and you don't have Murray. So it's like, what can you really do at this stage without Alvarado? So they're going to have to go find somebody. Is Brandon Boston going to be the one bringing the ball up? I have no idea. But you're going to have to find someone to initiate the offense other than Ingram for at least, 15, 20 minutes of the game.
Scott, I was driving around yesterday, so I was listening to the game. I was listening to Graf and JD on the call. By the way, those in Baton Rouge, 104.5 ESPN, where you do home for the Pelicans. And I swear to Christ, Scott, I didn't know a lot of the players they were talking about. So there was times whenever they were saying the player's last name, I'm like, wait a minute, is that a Pelicans player or the Nets player? I mean,
it's like a summer league game. It looks like the summer league out there. You're like, all right, well, they're wearing the jerseys. Who the hell are these guys?
Like, we're joking, but it's not. But it's serious. Like, you're not just down bodies. You're down Zion and CJ and Herb and now DeJounte Murray and now Jose. It's all guys that even Jordan Hawkins. It's guys that you were expecting to be key contributors. So, I mean, what really are you right now in this interim until you get healthy?
Yeah, well, they got Trey Murphy back. That helps significantly. The problem is that when you are playing Trey Murphy without anybody who can pass the ball to Trey Murphy, he loses a lot of his effectiveness because where he is so good is standing at the perimeter and hitting three-pointers, But, yeah, there's just not much you can do. I do think I still think you can judge them on the results. This is still the NBA. They still do have Brandon Ingram. They still do have, and if Trey Murphy keeps playing, those are two high-paid players, and a lot of teams have injuries in the NBA, et cetera. But, yes, they are severely undermanned, especially once you get to the bench. These guys are a collection of nameless, faceless guys, like the 2K guy that you just see at the end of the bench. Like, there's just no way to decipher who these guys are, and I'm sure they're going to run through a good chunk of them over the next couple of weeks.
Bring in Bronny. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't actually sound crazy when you consider what they have right now.
It is. It's bad, and look, the problems are the exact same, which I think is the craziest part. The Willie Green having no offense to run in the last 3 minutes of the game, and the ball sticking and gagging on a lead against a team that was playing terribly. And these are, they've lost 2 games to the Blazers, 2 games to the Warriors without Curry. They lose to the Nets at home. It's like, these are bad, bad, bad losses. And a team that really avoided bad losses completely last year is now going to have to dig out of a hole. And that is a very difficult spot to be in.
Scott Kushner, give me a timeline for when we can start to expect some of these guys to come back and maybe this to start to turn around when you look more like what the Pelicans are supposed to look like.
I think if you give it 3 weeks, but by then, you'll probably have McCollum back. You'll probably have Murray back, and then you'll be on the verge of the start of the timeline, really, for Zion. And then Alvarado coming a little after that. But I mean, that's a long time in the NBA. I mean, really, that's a 3-week losing streak seems pretty rough. And they're going into a gauntlet coming up here. And again, the first 10 games here first 12 games were pretty easy. And they did not perform well at all. And now you're going into probably one of the tougher stretches you could imagine with Oklahoma City and Denver. And I mean, it's just going to be a masher. And I don't see how they really win more than one game, coming up here. So it's a weird position to be in, and they're going to have to do a lot of climbing out. And I don't know if they have a team capable of doing that. 7 of their next 11 on the road, and that would be in that 3-week timeline that you're talking about. That would take you to the beginning of December when you're maybe starting to get some of these guys back. So depending on how deep of a hole you dig, is there a path for this team realistically when they do get healthy to try to work toward that play-in tournament and get back in this thing? Or is it all – oh, go ahead, please. No, sure. I mean, I don't know if you recall Willie Green's first season; they were 3-16 to start the year.
Oh God, wasn't that the 16-game losing streak?
Yeah, it was like a 11-game losing streak. I mean, it was a long losing streak. They lost a ton of games. They were bad. I mean, they were bad. They were the worst team in the NBA for, the first 5-6 weeks of the season. And then it picked up, and then they traded for C.J. McCollum, and everything sort of shifted, and they took the Suns to 6 games in the first round, and everyone thought that was going to be kind of a launching point, and it hasn't really gone that way. But I'm just saying, it's a very long season, and they let 10 teams in the West into the play-in tournament. So you're never really out of it until you're out of it, because you're going to hit a point in the season where at least a couple teams will probably start selling at the deadline, and if you're still going for it and your players are healthier and you're actually winning games, then you can start to chew up some space. But it is, they're really got to get wins where you can right now to hang on to that. Because, if you start again 3-16, I mean, it's very hard to get anything other than the 10 seed as your goal, and that is a bad goal to have.
That is a bad goal to have.
So that is the Mississippi State bowl eligibility.
Bowl eligibility because you won 5 games and someone else couldn't claim the bowl, so they needed someone to fill, or you didn't have enough teams to fill a bowl, so you got it because of your academics, something like that.
Congrats, guys! We're going to Shreveport for Christmas.
Hey, is Georgia going to beat Tennessee this weekend?
Probably. I when I saw the line came out at 13, I was like, "Wow, they know something I don't." I was feeling so good, and then I was like, "That's a huge line," and I think it's down to 10 now. Yeah. But it just feels like right every time one of the SEC teams plays down for a week, one of the good ones, they play down for a week, and then the next week they play a lot better. It feels like that's kind of the bounce that Georgia's going to get this week, especially it's like the only good game they've had at home, and it's going to be a nightmare.
Tennessee's got a really good defense, bro. Nobody has scored 20 on Tennessee this year. That's insane.
A lot of fumbles. We've forced a lot of fumbles.
My guy with the lead.
They've forced like 4 inside the 5-yard line. It's been kind of nuts.
So good. I don't know if you were listening to any part of the show today, but this is bonkers. If LSU beats Florida, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, which is doable. I'm not saying it's a lock by any means, right? But it's doable. If Georgia beats Tennessee and Arkansas beats either Texas or Missouri, which is doable, LSU will win a 6-team tiebreaker among teams 6 and 2 to play the winner of Texas A&M in the SEC championship game.
Come on.
Swear to God.
That's 16 teams, 8 games. And 2 teams go to the championship is like the stupidest way to build. I mean, it's just, I cannot get over how ludicrous the idea. It's such a Frankenstein monster of ideas that never evolved with each other.
It's your fault.
Of course.
It's your fault. Because we got to protect stupid Alabama, Tennessee, and Auburn, Georgia. It's your fault. We got this stupid cockamamie thing.
We're finally beating Alabama. The Vols have to play Alabama now. And now it's important.
How about that?
The 16 years in a row that Tennessee lost to them, I was fine with moving them off the schedule.
Yeah. Now you want them there. So good.
Yes. They're burning. I read somewhere they're burning.
Can you imagine, though? Can you, Scotty, the melt? If this plays, if what I just said plays out, which is very plausible. It's not like it's, hey, 17 things need to happen. LSU is positioned to win the tiebreaker among the teams at 6 and 2. Bro, the melt in Tuscaloosa would be so epic. I would be and if LSU went, let's say you got a rematch with A&M and beat them, and LSU was the 4 seed in the playoff with a bye, and Bama got left out.
They'd still be the 2 seed, Matt. They'd be 9-3 and be the 2 seed.
Oh, my God.
Because the ACC and the Big 12 are horrible.
I know. God, wouldn't that be something? Oh, it'd be so good. Inject that into my veins. I need this to happen. Not even for LSU, just for the Bama melt. And I know you would co-sign. All right. He is Scott Kushner on Twitter at Scott D. Kushner. Thank you.
See you, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.